Welcome back. It's time now to take a look at the top business stories. Musanada awards maintenance contract worth 180 million dirhams. Retail investors double equity trading on Nasdaq Dubai. And India's manufacturing industry catches up with IT sector. Let's look at the equity markets first. Both the DFM and the ADX edged higher today. Templeton Asset Management sees Dubai banking, property and services shares offering good buying opportunities. As the Emirates benchmark index enters a bull market, it rebounded more than 20% from its low in March. Dubai's DFM General Index gained 0.3% to close the session at 1,652 points. Best performing sector was utilities, as cooling company Tabreed surged 5.4%. Union Properties rallied 6.2%. Shua Capital was up 1.7%. Gulf Navigation's holding gained 3.6%, and Dubai Islamic Insurance rose 1.9%. 322 million shares were traded, valued at 295 million dirhams. And over in the capital, the ADX index gained 0.4% to close at 2,709 points, with the consumer sector up the most, as Abu Dhabi National Hotels added 3.6%. The energy sector also posted a plus. Dana Gas rose 1.5% and TAQA gained 0.7%. Etisalat was up 0.5%. The banking sector was mixed. Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank lost 0.4% and Bank of Sharjah fell 2.2%, while Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank gained 1%. Volumes came down today. Only 143 million shares were traded, valued at 174 million dirhams. And now let's take a look at the GCC markets, which ended mainly lower today. Currency trading kicked off this week with several important pieces of news. We saw the People's Bank of China hike its reserve ratio requirement yet again, and also in Europe, resistance to bailouts is gaining momentum. To talk about all this, we are now joined by Gaurav Kashyap, head of DGCX trading at Alpari Middle East DMCC. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
Very good, thanks.
Now, what's the case? Is financial aid for Portugal at risk or not?
Well, Linda, would certainly appear to seem so. There have been a lot of interesting political developments over this past weekend, which could potentially throw a spanner into the EU's plans of bailing out Portugal. There was a very big story which emerged from the small country of Finland, which might really have an impact on Portugal's bailout. Basically, what we saw in these elections were a small political party by the name of True Finn gained about 19% of the popular vote. This, of course, up from 4%. And the True Finn is seen as a very anti-EU type of party. They are trying to negate all the EU reforms to protect their Finnish people. And, through campaigning against the EU, they've really been able to gain and reach this 19% threshold, which makes them in a very influential and critical position to forming the coalition Finnish government. Finland is the only country whereby the parliament must pass any bailout, not the government. And as you know, the EU has a mandate which dictates that all 17 member states must unanimously agree. So the power of this small political party could really have a lengthening impact on Portugal's bailout, if not putting it at all at risk. And as a result of that, we're looking at the Euro USD to remain under pressure this week, probably look at levels around 140.90.
Okay, that story certainly remains interesting. Now let's look at the British pound a bit closer. The Bank of England will release its meeting minutes on Wednesday. What about that? Will it have an effect on the pound?
Absolutely. GBP traders, that's going to be their sole focus of trading this week. Although the rate was held at 0.5% a couple of weeks ago, traders will be focusing on the rhetoric coming out of the report and how hawkish they are towards inflationary pressures. They will also be looking at changes in the voting pattern. In the previous report, we saw that there were 6 members who were proposing to keep the rates changed. It'll be interesting to see if a 4th member joins the call to increase rates and join Dale Spencer, Andrew Weil, and Andrew Sentence. If we do see a situation where the voting changes to 5-4, we could see the GBP USD really take off. But to be quite honest, based on some poor inflation data from last week coming out of the UK and some other very poor housing data, we can expect to see no change in the voting pattern. And as a result of that, the GBP USD should also remain under pressure this week, probably look for levels around 160, 118.
Wonderful. Let's look at commodities a bit closer. Now, oil has come down from its peaks, but gold reached a new all-time high of $1,486 a fine ounce. Talk us through those price movements.
Linda, actually the pricing in the commodities was very weird to say the least. You know, we saw gold and silver reach new all-time highs. We still like the underlying fundamentals for precious metals. We expect the upward moves to continue in trading this week. As you know, gold and silver are traditionally seen as the best to hedge against inflation. We just had US data and EU data showing higher than expected inflation levels that will keep gold and silver prices supported. And of course, this ongoing European sovereign debt crisis, which is now in focus, will also keep investors spooked, and it should keep demand for precious metals higher. On the flip side, crude should continue trading the week lower. We're looking at a test of about 10260 on the week. The market is now shifting to simple supply and demand. The market is extremely oversupplied, as we saw in last week's DOE report. And there was news from this morning that the Saudi ministers have decided to reduce their output because of the oversupply in the market.
Interesting. I didn't know that. And now to our top stories. Thank you, by the way. And now to our top stories. Musonada, the Abu Dhabi-based general services company, announced that it has awarded 2 contracts worth 180 million dirhams to Etisalat Facilities Management and Emco. The 3-year contracts will cover all aspects of maintenance of 189 government buildings across the Emirate. Musonada will manage both contracts to ensure that they meet the agreed services level that supports Abu Dhabi's goal to become one of the top 5 governments in the world. CEO Mohammed Khalifa Al-Fahd Al-Maheri said that the company will continue to work closely with the private sector in order to ensure that international standards are being enforced across the market. Individual investors more than doubled their share of equities traded on Nasdaq Dubai in the first quarter of this year, the exchange said in a statement. Now, retail investors make up 7.4% of investors, up from 2.7% in the fourth quarter of 2010. The value of trades rose to $14.8 million. The increase came after Nasdaq Dubai in July 2010 started routing all equity trades through the Dubai Financial Market Trading Platform in order to make the access easier for individual investors. Meanwhile, foreign buying of UAE shares listed on the DFM rose significantly last month. Overall, foreign investors increased their holdings by 129 million shares in March. UAE nationals, though, remain the bulk of buyers and sellers on the UAE bourses. And in our fast financial news, ports operator DP World will spend $500,000 towards initiatives aimed at combating maritime piracy. $400,000 of the funds will go towards support community livelihood and security initiative, a DP World-backed anti-piracy project already underway in Africa. The remaining $100,000 will be donated to the UN Trust Fund to support initiatives of states countering piracy off the coast of Somalia. Sharjah Islamic Bank announced its first quarter results. The ADX-listed company raised its net profit by nearly 4% to 70 million dirhams compared to 67.5 million in the same period last year. Since December last year, the bank's balance sheet grew 3%, with total assets reaching 17.1 billion dirhams, compared to 16.7 billion at the end of the year. Reports revealed that Dubai is set to see up to 3,500 new villas delivered by the end of the year. That's according to a local paper. However, real estate developers say this doesn't include master developments that are on hold, including Jumeirah Golf Estates and Jumeirah Park. Experts believe villa prices will see a marginal decline going forward. And after the break, we will run you through what's making the headlines in international business today.